Good afternoon. This is Andrew Scott at our local raceway here in Fredericton, and I've decided to give a tour and a little childhood memories of what it used to look like compared to what it looks like now. So we're going to take a little walk around with the video camera and have a little fun with it. Okay? So here we go. All right. So one of the first places that we're going to check out is an old grandstand, because this is what it looks like now. Now, my dad used to bring me here, and he first brought me here around 6, when I was 6. And I want you to picture this. This grandstand was full every Monday and Thursday night, to the point that they had a second grandstand that was right beside it that unfortunately was burned to the ground last year. So today it just looks like something that's going to fall down, where back then you get heard every race from the voice of the great Gerald Bishop. Now, all these stands and everything used to be lined full of people that weren't in the grandstand, and they had programs in their hands. They were trying to make their bets more than once, especially during exhibition weeks. I was here with my dad and my uncle, and they were analyzing that book like a doctor that was going through a medical procedure to make toony bets. So at the end of the day, if they had $30 in their pocket after an 11, 12 race program, they made their money back. But everybody was going inside. Now, as you can see, all this is beat up. I want you to picture this. In 2023, or 1923, there was 20,000 people recorded that were here. Now is kind of not. So what would happen after people won their races is they would go out of this gate, and there was a big panel that was right there that would tell who was in first, second, third place. The winning race driver would go out with their family, get pictures done. If it was, say, a Walter Dare Memorial, they got a nice little cooler that they could put their horse in. That was, ironically enough, put together by my mom. So it was kind of like a family thing, which was kind of cool. Now, that's gone. This little, in the middle of the track, which we're going to get closer to here in a little bit, that little area for horses to run around in was never there. Actually, until very recently, it was a soccer field. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our imagination quite a bit as I walk around, because a lot of the buildings that were here were no longer here anymore. So that little pile of dirt that you're seeing in front of us, that was the second grandstand. And like I said, somebody got a little fire buggy or decided to light a cigarette when they shouldn't have. And that little wooden panel right there was a rockin' canteen where everything was cheap. It was awesome. So yeah, this was the hub, I'm going to say, where people won their $2, because that's what the bets were. So it is kind of cool if you remember everything. So right beside that red building, there was actually 2 horse barns. And after my dad retired, he had a horse in there, and he used to tell people all the time that he would be coming down and working. Now, on many numerous occasions, it was the Sheldon Watt barn. His horse would be outside, his stall would be clean, but working was not what they were doing. They were sitting around drinking coffee or having drinks of some sort. I believe avoiding their wives, because 5 of them used to get together, go buy horses down at PEI, even though their wives told them not to do it, and somehow would try to hide the fact that they spent $5,000 on a racehorse. To this day, I have no idea how they got away with it, because I'm thinking $5,000 missing out of a bank account would be very noticeable. So, and I'm going to zoom in on this fence because as each race was going on, it was the coolest thing in the world, because where these barns are and other barns that we're going to look at that aren't there anymore, even the racers would come out and line the fences and watch each race. It was really cool to see because everybody was supported everybody knew everybody. There was the Trice family, there was the Downey family, there was the Campbell family, Smith family, and in a little bit, many years ago, the Scott family. So the barns that aren't there anymore used to be gray, and to me that was the old barns. So as the raceway got bigger and they put in a second place for people to sit, we're going to get closer to them, but you can see the red barns. They were the new barns. So on race nights, you got out of the way of the horses, because that's what you did. It's either that or you were getting run over by the horses. Now, we're looking at the back of a grocery store right now. If memory serves me correct, and people can forgive me if I'm wrong, but there was a small little barn there, but I believe it was part of the exhibition where draft horses were gone into. And now that's also gone. That's been torn down. And the reason I remember that is because there was another canteen right around the corner that you could get your chips, pop, whatever you wanted while the races were going on. Like, this place has been constructed so much that nice little tree that we're looking at, well, in this side there was trees all around the track, and there was crow's nests where people would be in the track. They would sit there and watch the races to make sure that people weren't illegally making their horse go faster by, believe it or not, putting their boot in their ass or whipping them on skin. Because most horse races, they had badges on the sides of them, and that was the only place that you could hit a horse during racing. It was never to be on their skin. And the ironic part of it is my dad did it for a couple years. So a lot of the horse racers that he knew and was friends with, he would have to report if they were doing that. And I'm willing to say, and I'm very happy to say, that my dad was a person of integrity because I watched him do it. And I think that's why the racers actually appreciated him. Because remember, I was introduced to this place when I was 5-6 years old. We would come here Monday, Thursday nights, and it was kind of cool because we were the only kids that were allowed to stay up until 11 o'clock at night when the races were over. So where this tractor is was another little barn that was torn down years ago. Now here's the funny part. It's beside a barn that I have no idea what was ever in this. I don't know if it was harness race equipment. I don't know if it was... I really don't know what it was. But there was a small little horse barn right beside it that was gray, so it was one of the older ones. And as you can see, there's a gate that was right beside it that the horses used to enter and take their practice rounds. And we're going to get a little closer to the track because I think I saw horses. And yes, I did. And they're fun to videotape. This place to this day is still used as, I'm going to say, a little training ground. That's why, even though they don't have horse races here anymore, and haven't since 2016, local horse racers still bring their horses here. And that's why there's a little pasture for them. And they're out playing. We'll get closer to them here in a little bit. But also another thing that's kind of cool is if you look across, there's billboards on the track. Now every year they used to do a mural, and it was fresh coated paint, and they would advertise the Fredericton exhibition that was coming up and give the dates, because that was the busiest time for the horse racing community. There was like 2-3 cards a day, every day, and people were losing and winning toonies left, right, and center. And what's kind of funny, this will tell you how, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a CIHI emblem on one of the billboards, and CIHI hasn't existed for at least 20 years. It used to be an old radio station. So, unfortunately, it hasn't been updated for a little bit.
Oh yeah, they're the best things for stress right there.
Yes.
You come down here, you talk to them, by the time you leave, you're just like...
Beautiful.
Oh, they're good. They love their retirement.
I'm here with a Mr. Young. We were just doing a little historical what was here when I was a kid compared to what was not here anymore. It's a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame that it should have stayed. It's part of our history.
Oh, huge history. My dad used to come down to the Watt stable all the time until he passed away last year. So
that's my fiance. She also, me and her, we own Spirit, and our daughter owns Buddy.
These beautiful horses. Okay, well, we're gonna travel around and keep recording, and thank you so much. I appreciate
if you guys
this.
Want to pat them?
Yeah.
If
Oh,
we can
we'll
get
be
them
back to
stop
pat
on
them.
if you can. Oh, look,
Is the fence wired or?
It is. So just be careful of that. Quickest way to get her attention. Here you go.
Ah, you can never go
She
wrong
loves
with
her
grass. Now you lay your hand down flat so they don't eat your fingers.
Yeah.
So we've taken a little detour, but here's the new barns. So this used to be lined, and each and every one of them had horses and buggies and trainers and people that used the stables. So on race nights, this was just full of people. And it's like I said, trees, and you can see along the fences little benches that the drivers used to watch the races. Those are beautiful horses. And what's really nice is people still use it. Now, when I was a kid, in a little corner, there used to be a pop machine right beside a gentleman by the name of Jimmy Smits. And I believe he's passed on, but he was great with us as kids. It was awesome. Now, here's the saddest part for me. This little area right here was the barn that was known as Scott Stables, because my uncle and my dad trained racehorses, and periodically my dad would own a racehorse. So, and it was kind of funny because it was like a barn that stretched the whole area here, but on one side was Scott Stables, and on the other side, I can't remember the name, but we never went over to the other side. Like, we didn't know the drivers, anything like that, so we just kind of kept to ourselves on one side, but the other side we would walk through, but not really. It was weird. I'm pretty sure they all knew who I was. So they had a little tack room, everything like that. And on the other side, almost where that little horse carrier is, they had an old-fashioned blacksmith. So think back to your medieval movies where you saw people putting like swords in fire and making swords. He made custom horseshoes and nails for the horseshoes. His name was Ned Linden, and anytime we visited him, he always had something for us as kids and stuff like that up to a certain age. But he had the best stories, and he was a nice man. And I think I noticed things were being taken apart here when his little blacksmith shop was taken down. Now, that yellow vehicle was the water vehicle. So in between races, they would put water on the track to groom it. And right along here was where my dad had an eagle's nest, I'm going to say, where he would sit and watch the races for a couple of years and let people know if things were legit or not. So back in time, they took 2 laps around. It was a half-mile track, so they would do a mile, and the aim was pretty much 2 minutes of excitement. And I can honestly tell you that, like, the horse racers themselves were incredible, because I never saw one accident, and they were bunched together. So this is their little history so far. And we're going to pan around because hopefully get the horses again. But yeah, this used to be full of hustle and bustle. There was horses everywhere. And the best part is, as I mentioned exhibition week earlier, because my dad was always here, we got in for free. We abused that. here's the sad part. We're not going to dwell on that too much because I appreciate the history of it. And not all that long ago, there hasn't been a race here since 2016. And in January 2023, the city of Fredericton decided that there was never going to be sanctioned races here, which was kind of cool because less than 2 months later, there was an unsanctioned event that happened here, and to the dismay of city council because they had no idea what was going on. So some of my best memories with my dad happened here because he loved horses, took care of us. To be very honest, I'm very confident to say that my dad liked horses more than us when we were growing up as kids, because I saw him run after a horse that he owned to make sure it was okay after a race. And then tried to jog my memory once when I was talking to my uncle if he ever ran after me after, say, an accident that he didn't want me to walk off, and I couldn't remember one. So it was always just kind of funny. We had to compete when we were kids. So yeah, there's your little history. I hope you enjoy. It was a good time. Thanks. Oh, very much. The whole Trite family, actually.
Yeah, he owns him with me.
Todd and Steven.
Todd and Steven.
I see Steven a lot more.
Yeah. Todd's working up north a lot. Come on out, Rolly. Yeah, big jerk. He's very friendly. But he likes to nudge you. Like if you stand right in front of him, watch now. He'll put his head on you and bite you, grab your shoulder, then usually he tries to push me forward. Push me out of the way. Yeah, see? Trying to push you right out of the way. He's very friendly.
So where do you get to race now?
Woodstock, Truro, Charlottetown, Summerside, Bangor. That's about it.
Bangor.
Yeah. You're very hot. He's all right as long